What's up, everybody? It's your boy Justin from Justin Paul Sports. Thank you for tuning in on a late night Friday edition of Cover 2 Cash. It's an exciting weekend. We're going to go over some college football conference championship games. We got our bets lined up for that. Pretty exciting games coming up to determine the outcome of the college football playoffs. Final committee, because the committee's been absolutely brutal on some things, but some things they get right to, and some interesting takes with Vanderbilt looking to try and squeeze in a scrimmage somewhere to play against some other teams. The idea might be just to do a play-in for conference championship weekend. You know, some of these teams are going to get bumped and some are going to knock other stuff, and Notre Dame will be crying like they usually do. But nonetheless, we also got our Week 14 NFL Fantasy Football preview and our betting picks for Week 14. And returning from a 1-week absence due to illness, ladies and gentlemen, from the great state of Mississippi, it is Bobby from Bobby's Big Board. What's going on, Bobby? How you feeling, bud?
What is going on? We're fantastic, man. Life has, honestly, it could not be better for me right now. It's been going really good. Just watched the Egg Bowl last Friday. That was amazing. Even though State lost, it was a good game. Got to see Kamario Taylor dice him up on the ground. That kid's got some wheels. He is really fast, really big, and really strong. So I'm excited for the future of Mississippi State. But yeah, it's really exciting weekend. Conference championship week. SEC championship's going to be a banger. And there's a couple of really good marquee matchups for these conference championships. So I'm really excited to go over them. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, that being said, let's go ahead and get started with some of our college football stuff. I mean, that's
absolutely.
how we always like to lead the show going off, and it's going to be an amazing setup, I think, this weekend. You know, there's obviously some games that are going on that don't mean a whole lot of anything as far as the playoffs are concerned.
Yep.
But you still get to kind of take some pride in determining your college football conference championship. I mean, that is something you can hang on your hat for recruiting, especially if you're one of these G5 schools, like Sunbelt's playing right now.
Yeah.
The American was the game of the night tonight. My free play was North Texas -2.5. I don't know the score of it right now, but
let me look.
Nonetheless,
Let me pull that score up real quick because I was curious about it. It's 7-7 right now. Tulane, North Texas tied up 7-7. Second quarter, top of the second quarter.
I like how some of these smaller conferences too, where they do their you earn the right to host your conference championship. And like Alabama would be the 1 seed, so they'd be hosting. Ohio State would be the 1 seed, so they'd be hosting. I think that'd be way better for fans, and you've got an extra incentive. Plus, you bring extra revenue in. I mean, these stadiums can hold more than what they have in the NFL in these NFL stadiums. But Indianapolis is indoors, Atlanta's indoors, but nonetheless. Let's go ahead and get started with our first game here.
So the Big 12 championship, we were both kind of low on the Big 12 going into the season. Didn't really know how much they would offer in terms of the playoff. But BYU and Texas Tech, Texas Tech spent a ton of money on their roster this year. And look at them. They're number 5 in the nation right now. They're 13.5-point favorites right now against BYU. Texas Tech has only laid one stinker all year long. One stinker. And the rest of their matchups have been really good performances. I like BYU to not win this game, but I do think they can cover. I think they can keep it somewhat close. So I'm going to go BYU plus 13.5 here, but I do think Texas Tech takes them down in probably a 10-point game.
Well, these two teams played earlier in the season, and Texas Tech beat them 29-7. So BYU's got a lot on the line here. They need to win to get in the college football playoff because they're in. With one loss, they're on the outside looking in right now a little bit unfavorably. I think that the Big 12 gets a bad rap sometimes that I don't think that they deserve. There's a little bit of disrespect with that conference, but there's a couple of things going on here that aren't in BYU's favor. I mean, first of all, Texas Tech has this elite defense. It's got the best rushing defense in the country.
Yep.
So if you want to run the ball against Texas Tech, you're absolutely going to have, a bad time.
Yeah.
BYU, on the other hand, that's kind of their strength. I mean, BYU, though, has covered well against the spread in 9 of the last 12 games here, and this is a fat line. But remember, they got a freshman quarterback that's going to have it, Barrett Bachmeier, I think his name is.
And I do like him. I do like what he's put on tape this year.
Yeah, I mean, maybe so, but I just don't see if Texas Tech can or BYU can keep up here. I'm going to take Texas Tech to cover, and
They have steamrolled people. They have just steamrolled people a lot this year. And like you said, they steamrolled them their first matchup. But I do think with that experience, it's going to help out BYU a lot. They kind of see what's coming a little bit. And to your point about the Big 12, I think the Big 12, these other conferences, like the SEC is just really good in general. But like the Big 10 and the ACC, for example, they're very top heavy. And I think the Big 12 might be the most competitive conference. There's not a lot of, they kind of just eat each other alive in the conference. And I think that's where the disrespect comes from, because there's not a ton of Big 12 names with numbers next to them. You know what I mean? So, and it's unwarranted. I think that's a kind of a ignorant way of looking at it, right? But I like Big 12 football, man. There's a lot of exciting teams in that conference. But moving on to the next one, which obviously we are both huge SEC fans. This is going to be the matchup that pretty much the entire country is going to be watching. Number 4, Georgia, playing in Atlanta against number 10, Alabama. They are minus 2.5-point favorites, which is strange to me because Bama already played them this year and beat them.
Yeah.
So Georgia's, and I want to say Kirby Smart is 1-7 against Alabama. And he's 0-2 versus DeBoer, the head coach of Alabama. So this is a very interesting line here. I mean, I don't think that the crowd's going to be very heavily favored towards Georgia because Crimson Tide fans normally travel to this event anyways. They're not unfamiliar with SEC championships. So I like Alabama. I like the offense a little bit. I know it's sputtered out a little bit here recently, but I love the defense, especially in the red zone. And I think Georgia has I just don't think they have what it takes to beat Alabama right now. And I like the quarterback better with Ty Simpson. The run game, obviously, I like Georgia a little bit more, but the weapons for Alabama are all over the place. So I like Alabama to cover here, plus 2.5.
Folks, I'm taking Alabama to win the SEC championship. Let's go over it. The beginning of the year, when we did our previews, I said it was going to be Alabama and Penn State playing for the national championship. Now, one of those picks has obviously crashed and burned. They fired their coach. They just hired Matt Campbell at Penn State. He was option 57 for them. Took a really long time to wait after signing day, which was yesterday.
Yep.
They have like the 150th. They're way down there in recruits, but that'll change. Penn State sells itself. But we're not talking about Penn State. Let's talk a little bit about this game. All right, I don't care about the history with the 1-7 with Kirby Smart. Joe Klatt said, how come we don't give him any grief like we give James Franklin grief for losing all those games? Well, nobody's going to fault you for being 1-7 against Alabama. James Franklin wasn't playing Alabama every time as a top 10 opponent, right?
And he was getting skull drugged this year. That's why he got fired, right? And he had one of the best rosters in the nation.
Well, to his credit, he's gone to Virginia Tech, and he's already got Virginia Tech in the top 25 with recruiting classes already. He pulled those Penn State kids. He knows what he's doing. But that's getting off the point here. So there's a lot of key injuries for Alabama. Jam Miller's going to be out. Cuevas is out. LT Overton is out. And that's a big loss up front for them. But I still think that in this game, it's going to come down to Georgia's inability to get to the quarterback. I think that's what's hindered them all year. I mean, they couldn't get to Ty Simpson in the first game in Athens. And I think that Alabama's going to just win the game outright. I don't think it's going to be a belt to ass. It never is in this game.
Never.
But I think that Kirby Smart he just has to get through it. Yep. Whoever wins this game, I'm not surprised. But I do think that Ty Simpson's better than Gunnar Stockton.
I agree with that.
I think that this is going to be the Ryan Williams coming out explosive. He hasn't had one all year, and he's due. I think he's due. I do like Daniel Hill running the football for Alabama more than I like Jam Miller, and he's got plenty of experience playing this year. Because initially he was supposed to be Richard Young, but he's fallen off the depth chart. I expect him to transfer out at the end of the season. And Isaiah Horton had 3 touchdowns in the Auburn game. Jeremy Bernard is reliable. I don't think that Georgia's defensive line is a serious threat to get to Ty Simpson, and I think that he's going to not be so scatterbrained and going to make plays late in the game. I do think Alabama wins the SEC championship, locks up a bye. And I think they jumped to number 4 in the rankings. Georgia will obviously move down some. And I think that even if Georgia does win this game, I don't think Alabama's out of the playoff. They're in that 9 seed. Otherwise, you're going to see people up in arms, especially with what happened with SMU last year, losing their conference game to an unranked Clemson team. We got to put that out there. Clemson wasn't even ranked last season, and they got in because of because of that. Nonetheless, do a quick fantasy question from Katamari. Start Baker or Caleb this week? Would you like to take this one, Bobby?
So I am one of the biggest stands for Caleb Williams. I think he's super talented. I think he has the potential to drop 40 points for you on any given week. He's had multiple 40-point games. But let's just face it, the Packers defense, he's going on the road to Lambeau. He's playing the Packers. It's going to be a really tough game for him. And he's going to have to prove, because he's had a couple of down games the past couple of weeks. I would start Baker Mayfield. He does have Igbuka. He's facing a little bit better of a matchup. So I'm going to start Baker here. I like both options, though. But honestly, Caleb Williams could give you 10 points, and I wouldn't be shocked. I would start Baker. I think he's a little bit safer. But if you want a higher upside quarterback, if you need a bunch of points to win, if you're projected to lose, I think I'd start Caleb Williams. But if you need just points, average points, I think Baker Mayfield's the much safer bet. But going on to another really marquee matchup. I mean, a lot of people, number 1 versus number 2 in the nation, doesn't get much bigger than this. I know we kind of disagree about where Indiana ranks, but I mean, they're undefeated. They haven't really played a lot. I mean, they played Penn State and Oregon, which Penn State's kind of fallen off the wagon this year. Oregon's still a good win, but they're playing Ohio State, who's also undefeated. Also hasn't faced the best competition this year, but a little bit better than Indiana. Ohio State minus 5.5 point favorites, and I think we're going to completely disagree on this. I think Indiana will go out there and shock the world. I like Fernando Mendoza. I like this roster. I love the coach there. He's instilling a winning culture. He got them to the playoff last year, and they just couldn't get over the hump. They were outmatched. I like the roster 10 times more than I did last year. Curtis Rourke was just like an average quarterback to me, and Mendoza is something else, and I think that is where it's going to matter. I think Mendoza is going to get this team over the hump and get Ohio State out of there. I think they're playing for more than what Ohio State is right now. So I like Indiana to win this game outright, but I'm going to take the plus 5.5 here. I know that sounds crazy, but I watched the film, man, and Indiana is just insane to me. They have so many good performances, so I'm going to go with Indiana here.
Well, a couple things. First of all, this game is being played in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Field. But how deep is the Hoosier fan base going to go out there? I mean, it's not like it's a far trip from Columbus down to Indianapolis. You just get on I-70 and you're there in 2 hours. And it's, but I think that there's going to be a little bit. I'm going to push back on a couple narratives here. First of all, Ohio State hasn't won the Big Ten championship in some time. I think they want to get this. You want to secure that bye. The loser of this game is not going to get a bye. They're going to get bumped down to number 5. There's zero doubt in my mind. You're going to be number 5. You're going to be the highest seed that's a non-conference champ, and you're going to host a playoff game. That's how I see it. But I think Ohio State's got the better roster. They've gotten solid quarterback play from Julian Sayin. They've got Caleb Downs in the secondary, who is one of the best secondary players. He broke our hearts when he left Alabama when Saban retired. So I've got conflicted feelings. Him and Sayin both. So I've got conflicted feelings about how I want them to do. But I do think that defensively, Ohio State will be the fiercest thing that Indiana's seen all year, and I don't think that they can overcome it yet. Indiana has not proven to me that they've beat anybody of significance. The Oregon win was a good start.
Yes,
but you're out of conference. I'm going to hold that over your head. Like, you can't be playing McNeese State and all these little itty-bitty schools at the beginning of the year and get this loaded ranking and win one premier matchup. Granted, against the top 10 team, like, I'll give it to you. But I've seen other teams do this more consistency, but not in this conference.
Yeah.
Right? I think the Big Ten is down on that because of their scheduling. Their scheduling mindset was, we're going to just do what it takes to get to the playoff. And now you're going to start seeing that in the SEC. Like, Alabama's already kicked off one of their opponents next year to try and just do it this way because it's evidently it pays off.
It does.
But nonetheless, I think Ohio State, they proved that they can win against quality team in Texas at home. They've proven that they can do this stuff before. Ryan Day has won in a national championship. I'm going to take Ohio State to cover the 5.5. I think they win by a touchdown here. And we're going to see Indiana host a football game this year in the fall, and I can't wait to see who that would be against. In an ideal world, that would make me just, absolutely joyful would be to see the loser of the SEC championship take the road and go to Bloomington.
Yeah.
Put George up there in Bloomington. Let's see how they do with Gunner Stockton. My kingdom for that. That's the inner troll in me that would appreciate Indiana getting a little bit of humility that they deserve. We're so good, bro. We beat Hawaii Tech, and we beat Little Sisters of the Poor, and we beat Megatron High School. Rank us number 2, bro.
Yeah, it's definitely a weak schedule, and I hope, it sucks to see the SEC doing this also, but I mean it's all about winning a national championship. I mean, if you can play cupcakes all year and just win the 2-3 matchups that you need to win to get in the playoffs, then you're all set. But the most interesting matchup, I think, out of all 4 of these is the ACC championship. Now, remind me, because I'm not fully, I know this is how it was last year. Does the winner of this ACC championship game go to the playoff?
No.
Thank God.
If you're ranked lower than, I think if Duke wins this game, which they won't, but if Duke wins this game, I think the winner of that American conference, the G5 will get in before them, and I think it bumps them out of there.
Yeah,
and there's a potential that 2 G5 schools can get in the tournament this year, but I don't think it's anything the committee's going to have to worry about.
Yeah.
My pick on this. Oh, go ahead and give me your preview on this one.
Duke has showed that anytime they play a team that's above average, they get smoked. And Virginia has had a really surprising season. I think it's pretty easily Virginia minus 2.5 here over Duke. I was making sure because I know last year I want to say the winner of the ACC went to the college football playoff. So yeah, I'm glad they changed that this year. If they did, Virginia I think is an easy win here. Glad that they've kind of turned this program around a little bit. So
yeah, I don't think it's close.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, Virginia's holding teams to about 120 passing yards a game and not letting them convert on third down. Duke has got themselves a quarterback that can sling it. I mean, he's got 28 touchdowns, but defensively, Duke is a disaster.
Yeah.
I just don't think that they can stop anything. I think Virginia goes in there, and this is and I'm all right. The schedule for tomorrow you've got it kind of in order here. BYU, the Big 12 championship starts early, and it closes with either the ACC or the Big 10 championship. Get that mess out of here. Make Big 10 the noon kickoff again, and bump that BYU Texas Tech to the night game to compete with the ACC because God, the ACC just stinks this year. They just stink. Miami is 9-2, but due to tiebreakers, that's why they're not playing this game.
Yep,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, Miami's got that win over Notre Dame. I think that if BYU wins, Notre Dame gets bumped out. I think Notre Dame might get bumped out from Miami. I do. I think Notre Dame is the
needs to because I mean, yeah, Miami's had some tough losses this year, but I mean, they played this season. They played each other, and Miami came out. It was kind of close, but it was they won the football game. So if
it was
that's
Labor
the case,
Day.
Yeah,
it was a Justin Paul Sports free play. It was my free play with Miami. Carson Beck, I loved it.
Yeah, and I really do think Miami deserves that spot over Notre Dame. They're better offensively. They have a lot of defensively sound stats as well that are better than Notre Dame as well. But with all that being said, we're going to go past the college conference championships, and we're going to go right into the NFL games for Sunday. The first game, kind of an interesting one. The Seattle Seahawks, I think they're good, but they just have some weird performances here and there, and we just know the Falcons aren't good. It is what it is. They're horrible. They have the talent. They just cannot make it happen. Because of that, even at home, the Seattle Seahawks are minus 8-point favorites. I am terrified to go anywhere around Falcons lines, but I would probably lean the Seahawks here. Kirk Cousins is playing. He's been adequate, but nothing crazy. Drake London is out. We'll talk about that in a moment. But, I mean, it's basically Darnell Mooney and Bijan Robinson, and that's it. The Kyle Pitts, Hopefully he has some good games so people can get excited about him again. But yeah, I think it's pretty easily Seahawks here. I think they can win by 10 points pretty comfortably.
I'm taking the points. Here. I'm even doing a little money line sprinkle here, folks. I think that this is the kind of game Seattle's got to go all the way across the United States.
Yes.
An early time slot, so that doesn't help. I mean, Seattle's kind of cooled off a little bit.
Yep.
I know Atlanta's been a disaster, but I like Kirk Cousins getting 8 points at home. I'm going to take a veteran quarterback every single time. All they got to do is somehow, I think, just can kind of slow down JSN. Now, you did mention, that Drake London is out, but they still have a running game, and I think this might be a game where the Falcons kind of bleed the clock and keep the ball out of Sam Darnold's hand. I mean, James Pierce is questionable to start. They still don't have elite pass rush in Atlanta. But I think that they're going to keep this closer than 8 points. I'm going to take Atlanta, and I'm going to take the points, but a little sprinkle on a money line. Don't be surprised if the Falcons pull an upset here. This kind of stuff happens late in the season when these teams got nothing to play for. I think Kirk Cousins hasn't quit. I don't think the Falcons have quit on Raheem Morris. And there's a lot of talent there to keep it closer than possible. So give me the Falcons plus 8.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I stay away from the Falcons, because you never know what you're going to get with them. But obviously, you see Drake London on the green side of the graphic. Take him off. I don't like any of the receivers. I don't like Cordero Hodge, Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney, unfortunately, really talented, speedy receiver, slot guy. He just cannot catch passes, man. He's had a really bad drop problem this year, so I'm going to stay away from him. Even when Drake London's been out, he just hasn't been able to do a lot with his targets. But we'll start on the start side. Sam Darnold, he had that really bad week where he threw 4 picks. But outside of that, he's been pretty sound all year long. You take out that bad game, he's got 19 touchdowns, 6 picks. I mean, that's really good stuff from Sam Darnold. Glad he's doing good in Seattle. I did not think he was going to. And then you have JSN. What a historic season from JSN. He is cooking. He's been cooking all year long. He is a must start. Absolutely start him as your wide receiver 1, and you're feeling great about it. Bijan Robinson, he's getting the touches through the air and on the ground. Tyler Algier is a little bit annoying on the goal line because they do like to give him the goal line touches. But I do like Bijan Robinson. He's very talented. He will get the touches to get you at least 12 fantasy points, I think, even without a touchdown. And then last but not least, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, in Drake London's absence last week, had, I want to say, 9 catches for 98 yards. He had like 11 targets as well. So I like Kyle Pitts. Kirk Cousins seems to like him a little bit more than Penix did. But he's going to break our hearts. He does that every single year. But I'm going to try and start him in my flex spot if I'm in a tight end premium league. And then for the sits, Kirk Cousins, I think the defense for the Seahawks is just going to eat him up a little bit. I got to see it first. I need to see some consistency with him. He has not been good in his starts just yet. So I'm going to wait and see with him. And maybe, I doubt it, maybe if he does something crazy this week and breaks the Falcons single game passing record like he did last year, maybe he's worth a start in your fantasy football playoff, but probably not. Darnell Mooney, I already addressed that with the drop issues. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, 2 really good talented backs. They just utilize them about the same. And I don't think either one of them gets enough touches to be a comfortable start for you. I think Kenneth Walker is an easier start than Charbonnet, but Walker could easily get 12 carries for 80 yards, and that's it. And then A.J. Barner, he was really hot early on in the season. I'm staying away from him. I think JSN's going to eat, and he's going to take up the majority of this team's air yards.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I think, more of an intriguing matchup than people want to say. But like I said, I am a big fan of the Falcons getting those kind of points. So it's good stuff there about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And easily, I mean, like you said, the Seahawks have been cooling down big time. But a team that is on the opposite of cooling down, heating up, the Cincinnati Bengals. They got Joe Cool back. And what did they do? What did Joey B do the first week he came back? He just beat the Ravens, and they beat them handedly, too. They held them to 14 points. I thought that defense was going to get just skull-drugged. They held Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to 14 points, and they dropped 30-plus on the Ravens. The Bengals, they are all or nothing right now. They have to win out and get some help to get into the playoffs. They're going on the road at Buffalo, which is just a tough time to get Joe Burrow back. You had to play the Ravens. Now you're going on the road to play Buffalo, who's also pretty hot. Buffalo minus 6.5-point favorites. I think this is a field goal game, so I'm going to go with the Bengals plus 6.5 here. I think this all ends up on a game-winning field goal here. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Bengals here. I don't know who wins this game, though. I think this is going to be one of the best matchups of the week.
I know who wins this game, and it's the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow has never lost to the Bengals. In fact, he's kind of held them in check. I mean, this is a little bit different because Cincinnati's defense is just so atrocious, and I think Josh Allen can get some things done. But let's be real here about Buffalo. They've kind of slowed down. They've lost 2 of their last 4, and they're kind of moseying on into the playoff picture a little bit here. I'd like to think that this is a game where Cincinnati is absolutely desperate. They've got to win these games. It's playoffs time for them. If they want to have any chance of getting for a wild card spot, their season's not over yet, but it's on life support. But, Joe Burrow actually does well. I think if Buffalo can stop the run and make Burrow pass late and force them 3rd and longs, then they'll have a better chance to win the game.
Yeah.
But I would take the Bengals here. I think this is another money line sprinkle. I will take the Bengals plus 6.5. Buffalo's got both their offensive tackles, their backups. So there's damage up front to the offensive line. I think it's just going to be Trey Hendrickson's out, though. So with him being out, I can see either side of the coin here, but give me the Bengals to win the game outright.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm leaning, too, because they are just so desperate, and I think the Bills make the playoffs regardless. But on to the start sits, I think Joe Burrow is really going to have himself a game versus this defense. I like the Bills defense decently, but Joe Burrow is going to be in assassin mode, I think, for the rest of the season until they're eliminated. And I think he'll still play up to par. I think he was starving to play some football since he was out for so long. So I like Joe Burrow and his number 1 target, Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase is probably the safest wide receiver to start out of any wide receiver, including JSN. In fantasy football right now, I think he is fantastic. He will get a ton of touches, and he will do things with them. Then I'll talk about the 6th guy that I'll have on this list. Not a fan of this guy, but I'll talk about him in just a moment. But Josh Allen, I mean, he has like 13, 14 rushing touchdowns this year. He's going to continue to get them. He is just he might be the best fantasy football quarterback of all time. I know I say that about Lamar Jackson, but looking at his finishes, he's been the quarterback 1 or 2 the past 6 years. That is insane. Josh Allen's been cooking. So, like him as a start versus this defense. But this defense has been cooking for the Bengals. I mean, they kept Lamar Jackson to 14 points. I don't think they do that to the Bills, but I think they're a little bit better than what people are giving them credit for. That was a really good performance. Khalil Shakir, I've been kind of off the hype train on Khalil Shakir, but I think he's a safe option. If you need just points to get into your fantasy football playoff, I think he's a pretty safe flex option. James Cook has been playing phenomenally. They're going to give him a ton of carries, especially if they're up big in this game. And then the last guy I want to talk about is Chase Brown. Chase Brown, for whatever reason, I am not a big fan of. I don't like his film, don't like his tape that much. But regardless, who cares about what the tape says? He's getting fantasy points. I mean, he's getting a ton of meaningless dump-off passes where he's getting 4 or 5 yards a catch, nothing crazy. And since Joe Burrow is back, it's opened up the run game a lot more. While Joe Burrow was out, this dude was averaging like 2.5 yards a carry, which is atrocious. And now he's came back up. I think his average on the season is like 4.6, 4.7 yards a carry, which is actually pretty good. So I like Chase Brown as a start as well, even though I do not like the player that much. And then for the sits, Yoshi Voss, he's just a depth option, even if T. Higgins doesn't play. Mike Gesicki, same deal. It's just at the tight end position. Joe Burrow was kind of making Gesicki relevant last year, but with Noah Fant in there, I think they're just going to be rotating their tight ends a good bit. Keon Coleman, I know he had a touchdown last week, but man, he is just in not the best relationship with this coaching staff. And he had, I want to say, like a 40% snap share at the wide receiver position. And that's just not what you want to see in a guy that you're going to start. So Kincaid, he's been banged up. I need to see him produce, even if he's even going to go out there and play. If he does, I need to see him produce and make sure he's not banged up enough to where he's not producing. And then Ray Davis, I just don't think he's I mean, I don't know why he's on this graphic, honestly.
Why is he Kyler Murray sized?
Why is you know how tall Ray Davis is? He's like 5'7".
In that photo,
He looks big. He looks big, but he's not. He's like 5'7".
He's Kyler Murray size on the graphic. That's all. I was just chuckling about it.
But yeah, I think Ray Davis is just a handcuff, really, if James Cook gets hurt. So, all right,
good stuff.
We'll keep on rocking and rolling here. You'll like this graphic a lot. I
love this matchup.
This is. I really want to see the viewership for this game afterwards, because the Titans, the worst team in football, going on the road to play probably one of the worst offenses in football in the Cleveland Browns. Their defense just keeps them in games. I think this is pretty easily Cleveland minus 3.5 here. The line's probably swelled since I've done this graphic. Shedeur Sanders, I believe, is getting the start. I know they have activated Deshaun Watson, and I think he may start next week. Honestly, I think Deshaun Watson might get him a couple starts. Why not? You know what you got with Shedeur Sanders. He's got a 52% completion percentage. He has not looked good. Dylan Gabriel showed you that he is basically Case Keenum. That's all he is. That's all he's ever going to be, just like my pro comp. And then you have Deshaun Watson. Maybe he recovers and is magically good again. I doubt it, but you need to see what you have in the guy that you're paying all this money for before you just let him go on his merry way. So, I like Cleveland Browns and Shedeur Sanders to get the win here with this defense. I don't think the Titans have anything for this team.
Tennessee, I think, is this year's Titans team is one of the worst I've ever seen play football, and that's including an 0-16 Browns team and an 0-16 Detroit Lions team, because defensively they're just atrocious. I will say this about Deshaun Watson. I will say this. I know that everybody likes to meme him, and he's a strange dude. And let's just be real about a few things, though. He does have talent. Yes. And from what I've seen, you remember how I talked about Spencer Rattler before the season, like maturing some? Everything that I've seen with Deshaun Watson this entire offseason is about him coming back. And I think that he might be at the age where he's kind of stopped doing young people nonsense a little bit and might be focused and realize what this is.
Yeah, this is last chance, I think.
Well, I'm going to put it this way. I think that – I don't know. This is me purely speculating. This is a hot take here, but there's clearly no love with Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders. There isn't. And I think because he's a media distraction, first of all. Like, he's very, very impulsive with what he says. He's like his father. But his father had extreme talent, the best I've ever seen at that position. But nonetheless, I could see Deshaun Watson coming back and throughout the rest of the season playing football, and the Browns decide that they're going to draft a quarterback in the first round next year. And I think Deshaun Watson will play again next season.
That's what I think, too. As long as he's not atrocious.
Well, I don't think that this is a fair sample size. Honestly, in this coming back from an Achilles that he re-ruptured, this month of December isn't going to be enough to get a full perspective on what he'll be.
Yeah.
But he'll have another offseason heal, and I think next year you'll see the Browns. I think that the next season is kind of like the last big season on his deal.
Yep.
I think they keep him. I think they draft somebody in the draft here. I don't think Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur are on this team next year. I don't.
Really?
And I think one of them might be on the practice squad. I don't. If Deshaun Watson is a starter,
keep them all, right? If they go for a quarterback, I mean, they're not going to do what they did this year and have Kenny Pickett, Snoop Huntley, and all these guys.
It's going to be Deshaun Watson, and it's going to be a rookie. I'm convinced of it.
And then maybe you keep Gabriel as a third guy, or one of them's got to go. Gabriel or
practice squad quarterback. But I think that Deshaun Watson might go out there and surprise some people.
I think so.
And he might go out there and they just meme him about massages the rest of his career. Who knows? Either way, he's going to the bank. So if I'm the Browns, I'm going to put his ass on the field, and I'm going to put his ass on the field next year too, because I got an investment
in you. You're paying him.
Right.
You're paying him, and you can't get out of paying him. And I don't think there's a single org in the entire NFL that's going to actually want to get pay for that salary. I don't think there's a single person in the NFL, single owner that's like, yeah, we'll take Deshaun Watson on that cap hit. No shot.
I don't feel too bad though, because the Haslams are huge Tennessee Volunteer donors. So, ha! Sorry, Browns fans, but to hell with the Vols.
Well,
to hell with them.
Yeah. All right. So,
Uh-oh.
nice little graphic here. Yeah, I think there's two singular people. Harold Fannin Jr. for the Browns. Pretty easy start in your flex spot. He'll get you 10 points. If you're in a tight end premium league, he will get you 10 points. He's the number one target for the Browns. I want to say he leads them in receptions, yards. I don't know if he leads them in touchdowns or not, but he's the number one target on this team, which is crazy. I loved Harold Fannin out of Bowling Green. I did not think he was going to make this much of an impact that quickly with Njoku playing, but Harold Fannin came in and said, hey, Njoku, you're going to be behind me. And they use Fannin all over the place. So love how they deploy him. And Quinshon Judkins, I think the Browns will be up the majority of this game. And I like Judkins. He leads all rookies in rushing yards despite missing a couple games this year. I like Judkins to get at least 20 carries. So I like Judkins just because of the volume. And you see there's nobody else on the green side. Literally anyone else. Elick is like maybe. Elick maybe. If you're in a deep format, Elick Aomanor maybe. Chig if you're like at the bottom of the barrel type of tight ends. But literally no one else I feel comfortable starting. This is a laughing stock offensive game, I think. It's going to be really poor. I think Shedeur just throws it, checks it down to Judkins, and hands the ball off pretty much all game. So yeah, that's basically all it is, man. We're going to move on. I don't think anybody actually watches this game. And here's another one. So, man, the Vikings have really pissed me off this year because,
hold on.
Go ahead.
I just want to say in that last game, what would be the epitome? What would be the icing on the cake? All right?
It's a shootout.
No, listen to me. We would like a heavy snowstorm along Lake Erie on Sunday. All right, yes. We want a Saturday night, huge, massive. We want 12 inches, folks. 12 inches. We want the foot long. We want it deep. We want the snow to be deep. We want you sliding around in the white stuff over there in Cleveland. You hear me? That will get viewers on the game tape, folks. You want to watch lousy football? That's how you do it. 12 inches deep. See what you can do. See what kind of plays you can make. Nonetheless, it'll be a red zone spectacle. That's for sure.
I think it would just be better if they all wear blindfolds, honestly. But we'll go on to this next matchup, NFC matchup. The Commanders, they will be starting. This is insane. We saw 3 weeks ago, Jaden Daniels' arm was backwards. His elbow was basically sticking out of his skin 3 weeks ago. He is playing against the Vikings on the road, and because of that, I think it swelled a little bit. I think they're minus 3.5 point favorites now that Jaden Daniels is the starter. But the Vikings offensively piss me off so much. I love Justin Jefferson. I think he's being held against his will, and he is a hostage right now because J.J. McCarthy is genuinely what I thought the worst quarterback in the NFL. Then they started Max Brosmer last week, and he was legitimately the worst quarterback I think I've ever seen.
Well, Max Brosmer wasn't a first-round draft pick.
He was undrafted.
So, be fair. J.J. McCarthy, the handoff merchant for the cheating Michigan Wolverines, shows that that's all he's capable of. I mean, that dude's been rightfully memed to death for making that stupid face in the locker room against Chicago.
And the nine comments is just so bad. It's so bad.
You bring it upon yourself doing dumb stuff, folks.
He's just not self-aware enough. He's just like, you call your alter ego 9. And it's like, if he said it in like a cool way, maybe it'd be kind of cool. But if you have an alter ego and you have to name it, like you're the one naming your own alter ego, and you go out there and you suck ass, that's not what you're gonna want. That's not gonna be a good look for you. So now everybody's just making. There's some really bad memes out there. There's only one person being memed worse than J.J. McCarthy, and that's Geno Smith. There are some so bad memes about Geno. But regardless, I like the Commanders to cover here just because I think the Vikings just can't move the ball. The running game has been with Aaron Jones being banged up. Jordan Mason just hasn't really been that effective this year. in the passing game, despite having great weapons, J.J. McCarthy just doesn't know how to throw a football. So, I mean, I wish Carson Wentz would get healthy again, but whatever.
I don't. I'm thoroughly enjoying this Minnesota Vikings team. What are you talking about? I mean, you let Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold out of your building because of J.J. McCarthy. It is the divine intervention of my football trollingness to thoroughly enjoy Minnesota getting this done to them. But I'm going to take the Commanders here. Trolling aside here, Minnesota's defense just kind of has been hyper-aggressive, but just can't seem to get the job done. They're missing it. I mean, I thought we would see it in Green Bay, and they absolutely got ran over. And you got Justin Jefferson on your team. You can't get him the football, folks.
4 yards last week. It's the lowest of any game in his entire career, and I had to start him in my fantasy teams last week. That's great.
It's just, it's crazy. I think the Vikings might draft another quarterback here. I think they might move up in the draft.
It's a good draft to go with quarterback here. So,
well, they've got tons of weapons. They've got Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson. They've got a great defense. They could probably get themselves a new running back. Aaron Jones is kind of losing a step or two, but
absolutely.
I do like Jaden Daniels to come out here and just absolutely destroy. Just run around them, make them miss tackles and chase you down. Even if Mariota plays, I still like the Commanders to cover here.
So it has been confirmed Daniels will start. Correct. So Marcus Mariota, that should be changed out for Jaden Daniels. I like both of them as a start, though, honestly. Mariota, low-key, been a really solid quarterback. He was a solid quarterback last year when Jaden Daniels was hurt. I wouldn't be surprised if Mariota gets some weird looks, whenever his contract's up. And maybe he gets a spot start, maybe like a Taylor Heineke type situation in the future. Taylor Heineke is a big pull. But I like exactly what you said. They're very hyper aggressive, and against this Cliff Kingsbury offense where they love to dink and dunk you, I think that's going to be great for Jaden Daniels because he can absolutely avoid the rush. And with Terry McLaurin coming back, I mean, he looked really good last week in that overtime win. And Deebo Samuel, I think even with Terry McLaurin coming back, I think they still utilize him creatively. I think he is a little bit banged up, though, as he just is. He gets a lot of touches. I think both of these guys are clear-cut starts right now for the Commanders. And even though this is his lowest fantasy, he's coming off his lowest fantasy point game of all time of his career, Justin Jefferson is still a must-start. If he's not I don't think he's a wide receiver 1 anymore right now until they figure out the quarterback situation. I think he's still, even with as bad as J.J. McCarthy is, he'll get you 10 points. And right now, when you're trying to fight for the fantasy football playoffs, you're trying to avoid duds, and I don't think Justin Jefferson has 2 duds in a season. Last but not least, TJ Hawkinson has quietly, and I mean quietly, kind of picked up his season a little bit as of late, so I do like him as like a fringe start tight end. Then for the sits, I don't care who's out there. It's going to have to be somebody that has some respect. J.J. McCarthy, I know they already waived Max Brosmer, RIP, but I don't like any Vikings quarterback right now that's on the roster, so stay as far away from any Vikings quarterback as you can. The run game is split backfield, stay away, and I don't know who's going to get the bulk of the carries for Washington. I think it's going to be Chris Rodriguez, but he has been he's been okay, but nothing enough to where you would like to start him. And JCM started off hot and has just cooled down. He had 4 carries last week compared to Chris Rodriguez's like 16. So, staying away from the run game for the Commanders.
It's interesting because they were so high in JCM that they traded Brian Robinson. I mean, you kind of let Brian Robinson's pretty solid running back. I'm not saying that with Alabama bias, but he's better than what you got on that team right now. There's no doubt about it. He's better than Chris Rodriguez, JCM, or Austin Eckler, who's out for the year. I think you'll see the Commies go for a running back in the draft. They need to get some secondary help as well. But
I could see a Jeremiah. This obviously everybody knows this name, but Jeremiah Love would be a great fit for this offense because I think the Commanders with this offense they need just a puncher, right? A guy like Brian Robinson who's a big back that doesn't go down easy. I don't like Jeremiah Love's film, by the way. I don't. I think he's shiny Tyler Algier, but I think you need a guy that can hit the hole like a Josh Jacobs type, I think is what you need if you're the Commanders. So we'll go ahead and move on, man, to the next game. We're just going to keep rocking and rolling here. Another pretty bad matchup, in all honesty. The Miami Dolphins going to MetLife, playing the New York Jets. Miami are minus 2.5-point favorites because the Jets are actually that bad. But I do like Tyrod Taylor. I do like what they have. Adonai Mitchell has kind of showed up to be better than people had thought, just because he's actually getting targets now. I don't know if the Dolphins are that bad with Achane, Waddle's healthy. I think they're just the more healthy football team because Garrett Wilson's not going to be playing this week. I'm going to go with the Dolphins minus 2.5 against my better judgment. This Jets team should be tanking, but they've been playing some decent football since all the trades. I'm still going to go with the Dolphins, though.
I think Miami's a choice here very carefully, though.
Yeah.
Remember what I said? Chris Greer got fired, and I said that can change the culture inside of a locker room. And quite frankly, the Dolphins have responded accordingly. They've still got explosive players. Offensively, you got Achane, you got Waddle, and I know people like to make fun of Tua, but Tua, when he's on, he's on. And the Jets have lost Sauce Gardner. They've lost Quinnen Williams. They lost – their defense isn't elite. And I think that you're going to see Miami is still in the hunt for fighting their playoff spots. They're not taking anything for granted here. I think everybody in that place is fighting this to finish this season strong. I like Tyrod Taylor a lot better than Justin Fields.
Which is crazy to say. I mean,
That's
I would have thought – I would have thought
because
Justin Fields, he's been the same every year. One read run, and he just never got any better.
I do a totally biased evaluation of players. I'm very biased. And when I see you play in the national championship and you play Alabama Nick Saban defense and you get absolutely destroyed like that, I know that you're a clown. Like Trevor Lawrence handled business against Alabama. Deshaun Watson handled business against Alabama. Justin Fields went in there with an elite Ohio State team and shit the bed. And I've never bought into him. I was so glad the Bears traded up for him. Buddy, I was celebrating with him. Bear down, baby, because y'all going to be sitting at the bottom, and it proved me right. So I got bias based on who you play in college. I think that college rating matters a lot. If you come from the SEC or if you play in the Big Ten or something like that and you can absolutely dominate elite teams in clutch moments, like C.J. Stroud took Georgia to the limit, right? That was a whole different thing. But nonetheless, I've never been too high on Justin Fields. I think, like you said, he's a one-trick pony. Yep. Never forget him being at Georgia and Kirby Smart in the SEC championship, putting him in there on fake punt. Folks, it's a comedy of errors.
Absolutely.
It's just Justin Fields. You just collect your money, bro. You're clearly not it, pal.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he ever starts as a starter anytime soon. I mean, his film at Pittsburgh last year wasn't that great. The Jets film this year has been atrocious. So, but we'll go ahead and move on to the start sits for this game. I like Achane. I was wrong about him. I was off the Achane bandwagon at the beginning of the year. I didn't think they were going to be able to run him as effectively. They have. They've ran him well. He's catching passes still. He's a top 5 running back for fantasy purposes. He's a little bit small for my liking, but he's still doing the thing. So Achane, absolutely a must start. Jalen Waddle as well. I know he didn't have the best game last week. I think it was like 40 yards on 3 catches or something like that. But with Tua Tagovailoa playing decent football, he gets over 100 yards and a touchdown. So I like Waddle here. Tyrod Taylor, as long as he doesn't get hurt, this has been Tyrod Taylor's entire career. He is a good quarterback. He is a adequate start quarterback, especially for fantasy. He's like a Mariota. He's better than Mariota in my opinion. He just can't stay healthy more than 3 games. He always gets hurt with something. Like he's just made of glass, and that's what's wrong with Tyrod Taylor. As long as he's healthy and plays this full game, he is a good starting fantasy quarterback. Breece Hall is going to get the touches, so you have to start him. Even if he only gives you 6-8 points, you're starting running backs that get at least 20 touches, and I think Breece Hall will absolutely.
That's the guy the Commanders need to go after in the offseason.
Breece? Yeah, Breece is definitely a very safe runner. He's not super explosive, has great vision, doesn't really make a lot of mistakes, can catch the ball pretty well. He offers a lot of stuff. So, and last but not least, a guy that I was kind of struggling to find a Jets PNG of him, but A.D. Mitchell. He's had 7 targets every single game he's played with the Jets at least, and he had 100 yards and a touchdown last week with Tyrod Taylor. If Justin Fields was starting this game, I'm not starting a single Jets receiver. A.D. Mitchell, I loved his film last year. He just has some weird drop issues. If he can clean that up, I think A.D. Mitchell could be a very good fantasy football playoff wide receiver since Garrett Wilson looks like he'll miss at least a couple more weeks. And then for the sits, Tua, I'm so out on him, man. He has no rushing upside, and he has to throw multiple touchdowns, and he just is so inconsistent at doing that. He can easily give you 2 points, and you would not be shocked whatsoever. Malik Washington, I've been telling you guys to sit him all year. He gives you 8 to 10 points at his max, and then gives you 2 to 4 points at his floor. You don't want a guy like that, especially if you're trying to get into your fantasy football playoff. Darren Waller has like a 12 or 13 point projection. Please do not start him. He is completely touchdown reliant, and with Jalen Waddle being the primary option and Achane being a menace in the red zone with his speed, I don't think you only get the projection if he scores a touchdown. I don't think that's what he's going to do. John Mechie has been okay. I'm staying away from him right now, though, because I don't think the targets are going to be there. And Mason Taylor has been kind of disappointing this year, so I'm staying away from him as well. Mason Taylor easily had the worst tape of any tight end from the 2025 draft class. So stay away from Mason Taylor until he proves you otherwise.
Good stuff, Bobby. Good stuff.
Let's keep on rocking. Keep on rocking. NFC South matchup. The Saints going on the road to play the Tampa Bay Bucks. And, man, Tyler Shough actually had some good throws on film last week. But it's not – the Buccaneers have an okay defense, and they have a much better offense. Tampa Bay -8, though. I think the Saints can keep this somewhat close. This is a really perfect line for me. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay to win by 10 points here, so I'm going to go with Tampa Bay here.
I am going with New Orleans Saints here. I'm going to take Shough on the road. NFC South slapfest going on late in the season. Listen, you said Tampa Bay's got a great defense, but, man, they are banged up, folks.
They are.
I think that this might be a Chris Olave kind of snap-off game. I'm calling for it.
He's been doing it, man. He's been doing great stuff.
Because I just think that he's got a chance against Tampa Bay secondary. Bucky Irving, though, is back. And it's paying off in one of my Dynasty leagues because I traded Jackson Dart for Jaden Daniels and Bucky Irving.
And they're both back this week. Well, Bucky came back last week and actually had a pretty good performance.
But I'll tell you, in our league, in my main pay league, we do a consolation. If you win the loser's bracket, you get a pick at 1.13. So It's a way to keep you engaged in fantasy football, even if your team stinks.
Yeah.
And
trying to win the toilet bowl.
Yeah. Well, I've sold all my assets, but I've acquired so much. I traded Jamar Chase for Emeka Egbuka and 3 firsts, and then dealt Emeka Egbuka for Malik Neighbors and Bryce Young. So
who's been cooking lately, by the way?
That's right, because you just kind of have to learn how to play football at certain places.
Yeah.
Like Mac Jones. But nonetheless, I do like the New Orleans Saints here.
It's a perfect line for me. I could easily see the Saints losing by 6 points, or actually, who knows? They could. I don't think they're going to win the football game because the Bucs really kind of need this win. But for the starts, Baker, gunslinger, wild man. I think he lights this New Orleans defense up. Bucky Irving, he gets the passing game. He's going to get receptions, and he looked pretty healthy. I know he's dealing with a foot injury, a shoulder injury. He's just a little banged up. But Bucky Irving, I still think, is very talented. And I think Bucky Irving's going to kind of beat up this New Orleans defense. Emeka Booker and Chris Godwin. I think Baker Mayfield's going to go crazy, and I think these two guys are going to be the primary beneficiaries of that. So, like Emeka, a little bit more than Godwin, of course, but Godwin is a good flex option for now. And I think the only Saint that I would feel comfortable starting is Chris Olave. Shuck is like borderline, but I like Olave much, much more. He gets the targets every single week. I don't know how he's still around, man, because he's been taking some beatings over the past couple of seasons. I mean, look at him. Look at his face. He don't even look like he knows what's going on anymore. I saw a picture of him when he got drafted, and I look at him now, and it's like this guy looks like he's almost there. You know, he's almost in a retirement home, but he's playing great football nonetheless, getting a ton of good separation, good yak guy as well. Then for the sits, Tyler Shuck, I think he's just not quite ready yet. I don't think he's the long-term guy for the Saints either, unfortunately, but he does have some good throws on tape, and he's okay athletic. Devon Bailey had 90 yards and a touchdown last week. I need to see more of it. I do like Devon Bailey as like a big power slot. I need to see more, though. I need to see more because he's been widely irrelevant outside of that 1 week. Devin Neal probably gets the primary load here with the carries. Staying away from Devin Neal. I did like him. He was my RB10 in the class with a crazy good running back class last year. Loved him at Kansas. He kind of reminded me of kind of like Dollar General brand Le'Veon Bell. But he's just, the line is just not where it needs to be for the blocks to develop like he needs to. Cade Otton, stay away from him. He's going to burn you every single time. And then Tez Johnson. I loved what Tez Johnson has put on tape. He's super agile, quick, fast guy. But Tez Johnson, he's kind of fell behind since Chris Godwin's back. If Mike Evans comes back, I think he'll be back next week. Tez Johnson's just going to go back to a punt returner, unfortunately, but I do love the talent with Tez Johnson.
So I do have a question from X, and I don't know how to post it on the screen. Yeah. It's from Berserker, and he says, pick two. He's got Dobbs, Worthy, Tucker, or Mechie. Sad, I know.
Dobbs?
Pick two. Romeo Dobbs, Xavier Worthy, I'm guessing Trey Tucker, and John Mechie.
I'm going with, unfortunately, Trey Tucker. I think Trey Tucker gets work, and I like Xavier Worthy as a big play. I would take probably Worthy, and I would probably take Trey Tucker with Dobbs being third. But I don't like Dobbs because you don't ever know with the Packers, man. I like Dobbs as a talent, but Dobbs could easily go out there and have – it could be a Dontavian Wicks game. It could be a Matthew Golden game. You just never know with the Packers, and not everybody can get targets in an offense. So I'd probably stay away from Dobbs. So, all right, we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. We're up to 20 viewers right now. Heck yeah! Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to leave any comments, anything like that, any fantasy football advice, betting advice, that's more from my buddy Justin Paul here. If you saw our records at the beginning of the 21. If you guys saw our records, he has a much better record than me. So he's the betting guy. I can help you with your fantasy football teams. But let's go ahead and move straight on to the next game. This is I think this is an important matchup. The Colts, they're trying to ride into the sunset and get a solid playoff berth here. I think they're pretty much set for a playoff berth, and the Jaguars are also a team that's cooking up too. Even though they're going on the road against the Jaguars, they're minus 1.5 point favorites. The Colts are. So I'm interested. I think the Colts have more talent on the offensive side of the ball than the Jaguars, and I think both of the defenses are kind of in the middle of the road. I think the Jaguars get after the passer a little bit more than the Colts. I think you have to go with the talent on offense, and I'm going to go with the Colts here to cover minus 1.5. Trevor Lawrence, man, he looks good sometimes, and then he just turns into a pumpkin. I like the Colts here, and I think that's the team that's going to win this match for sure.
I don't like a quarterback with a cracked fibula. I just can't do it. It showed last week.
He looked good.
Man, I don't know. I'm gonna take the Jaguars as the home team here. I like the better quarterback with Trevor Lawrence. I know that the Colts have an elite. I mean, obviously, the best running back I think in the NFL is Jonathan Taylor. I think he's the
Yep.
best. Josh Jacobs is right behind him, and then Bijan is third in my opinion. But I think the Jaguars. Brian Thomas. I like what he does. Obviously, who doesn't like what he does? I like what Travis Etienne does. I think that the momentum is kind of going the way of the Jaguars here. I think that they're going to take the lead in the AFC South here, which, like we've always talked about every week, with the AFC South being the most fun with the NFC South, is the what you just never know what you're going to get in these classic knock 'em, rock 'em, sock 'em matchups. But I do think the Jaguars have a statement here. I think that Danny Jones is really going to have to worry about that pass rush with the Jaguars with Travon Walker and what's his name, Hines Allen, and their linebacking core. It's a bad matchup for the Colts. It's a bad matchup for them. I'm going to take the Jaguars to cover here. I'm going to take Jaguars money line as well. A little sprinkling going on there.
Yeah, I can see that. So, why is Josh Downs on here? Don't worry. Oh yeah, never mind. So Daniel Jones, he does have a cracked fibula. I don't know how he's playing, but he played decently last week. Now, there is a weird match math here if you want to talk about it. The Jaguars did beat the Chiefs. They were at home. The Colts went on the road to try and play them, and they came up just short. So there is that, if you want to read into that. But I do like Daniel Jones. He's proven pretty much all year that he is a safe starting quarterback. And I think versus the Jaguars, I think he can get it done and actually throw a couple of touchdown passes. I don't think the mobility is going to be as good as it normally is with Daniel Jones just because of that injury. Jonathan Taylor's a must start. He's going to get the touches. And when he gets touches, he gets yards and he gets touchdowns. And no one has more 3 touchdown performances than Jonathan Taylor. He has been ridiculous. And then Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren, I want to say, still leads this team in receptions. He is pretty much exceeded expectations for the Colts, and I think he's going to continue to be a cornerstone of this offense. So I like him as a minimum 10-point guy in tight end premium leagues. Like Trevor Lawrence versus this defense as well. He's been getting some rushing touchdowns this year. Really been kind of making some statement wins here and there. And I like Brenton Strange. That's a name that you guys need to remember. Brenton Strange out of Penn State. He was a rookie last year, I believe, or the year before last. But
Pittman,
out of Penn State.
Pittman is leading the team. I'm just taking a look here.
Okay,
Pittman
good.
is leading the team with 60 catches, but Alec Pierce has the most yards.
Yes, Alec Pierce has been cooking, and I will talk about him in a moment. But Brenton Strange has been, since he came back from his injury, he landed on IR. But before he was put in IR, he led the team, Brenton Strange did, in yards. Then he went on IR, and he's come back, and he's been making a statement at the tight end position. So that is a guy you want to keep your eyes on in Dynasty. Trade for him if you can, and start him in your fantasy football playoffs, because I think he's going to be a menace. Then for the sits, Bashal Tutin, he had a decent game last week, but he's a change of pace guy. Sometimes they give him the workload in the goal line, but Trevor Lawrence has been getting a lot of goal line pushes as well. So Jacoby Myers, I need to see more from him. He had a decent game last week, but I need to know when Brian Thomas Jr. is going to figure it out, because he's been horrible all year. He doesn't want to play over the middle. He's not catching footballs that he needs to. It's been a completely different story than it was last year. I don't know if it's because Daniel Jones and Brian Thomas just have a great relationship and just have this chemistry that Trevor and Brian Thomas just don't have. But they're going to have to figure it out. Yeah, that's what I mean. Well, Mac Jones had the chemistry. Trevor and Brian don't, it seems. So I need Brian and Jacoby to prove to me that they can be consistent options. Brian Thomas Jr. has proved to me that he's the biggest bust of this year, I think. I mean, he's been horrible. I mean, very inconsistent. And then Josh Downs, I love the player, man. I really do love the player, but he's just kind of the odd man out. Pittman is the short to intermediate guy. Alec Pierce is your deep ball guy. Tyler Warren's your big guy on your third and shorts. And Josh Downs is kind of a mixture of all those, and he just hasn't been getting the touches because they have other personnel for that. So
yeah,
he's just kind of like the odd man out.
You think Tootin never takes that backfield over, or you think there's going to be an ETN extension there?
I think the ETN's played well enough to get an extension, but will they extend him? Because we've seen backs like Saquon Barkley, for example, play really good, and teams just decide not to pay him. I think in this day and age, because we've seen teams not pay running backs and it backfires in their face, I think Travis Etienne will be extended. As long as you have some consistency at your position, you will pay them. And I think Travis Etienne will get paid, and I think Tootin's just a guy that's just a kind of like a handcuff.
You think Green Bay's happy they paid Josh Jacobs?
Absolutely. Yeah. And the Raiders are – I like Genty, but, I mean, the Raiders were in purgatory with, what's his name? I don't remember.
It's okay, Bobby. Let's just get on to the next one.
Whatever. We're going to get on to the next matchup here. The Steelers going on the road to play the Ravens. This is a big matchup for this division. This is gigantic. Because if the Steelers beat the Ravens here, the Ravens basically don't have a shot to win this division, I don't think. I don't like the Ravens minus 6.5 here. I think the Ravens are kind of frauds in my opinion. They lost to the Bengals pretty soundly, and the Bengals defense is not good. Lamar Jackson has played really poor over the past 3 weeks, has more turnovers, I think, than any quarterback over this span. So, I like the Steelers plus 6.5, and I think the Steelers might win this football game because the Ravens have just shown the inability to not be able to lock in when they need to lock in. So, I think the Ravens had the better team, but they just can't get it done.
I think this might be a little bit of a game plan change here. I think that you can see Baltimore hand the ball off to Derrick Henry 25 times in this game. Steelers don't have a great defensive, run-stopping abilities kind of out there. I think they might change it up a little bit because they understand that this is basically a humongous game to decide the AFC North. I don't think that the Bengals are going to get back into it. They can. It's going to be a tougher road, but when you get to these critical late season games in December, you got to go with experience. I like the head coaching a little bit more in Baltimore than I do in Tomlin. I think that the Steelers are trending down. I think Mike Tomlin might step down at the end of the season. I do. I think him and Rodgers call it career, and the Pittsburgh Steelers for, first time and God knows how long are going to be looking for a new coach.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels that way. It feels like the Steelers are, they still get it done, but it feels like there's something. It's just like a overdue. Like it was a great run. You won. Yeah. You won a Super Bowl. You played in another one. You lost to Green Bay. You beat Arizona, but you got the World Championship. And sometimes it's just your things run its course. I mean, he's been coaching at Pittsburgh longer than Saban coached at Alabama. It's
absolutely.
But sometimes.
How many 9-8 seasons do you have to have? How many 8-8 seasons do you have to have before somebody's like, okay, it's enough?
Well, I think that the Roonies have shown absolute grace and patience, which is hard to do. It's hard to do that even when it's not to fans' likings, but it just feels like, he's going to be coaching somewhere next year. Either Tomlin steps down, takes a year off, or if he wants to be the ultimate villain, we haven't had, we've only had a couple coaches get canned, but can you imagine if that Cleveland Browns job opened up and he goes into Cleveland, the arch nemesis of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Listen, with that defense and that roster,
he's a defensive guy.
You got Myles Garrett, who, or
best defensive player in the NFL.
Maybe we might see him take a different position. You just don't know. Tomlin's going to be hired as a head coach if he wants to. He's got enough winning experience to do so. But nonetheless, I'm taking the Ravens to cover here. I think that they changed the game plan up. I think that Aaron Rodgers, I love him. He's my favorite quarterback of all time, but he's got cement for feet. And you can get to him now. You can get to him. It's not like when he was in Green Bay and have these elite offensive linemen to have him move the pocket and he can move and make he can still throw a pretty ball. But, there's already dissent with him, between his body language has always been poor. It's always been his Achilles heel. Like he's quick to call somebody out on the field, but he does not take it too well. I mean, there was already a press conference where he's talking about Jonnu Smith not making meetings. Like,
Yeah, it's not a good look. And, Aaron Rodgers, I think his biggest strength was his ability to get out of the pocket, move around, and make crazy throws on the run, and he just can't really do that anymore. But against my better judgment, and I would not be a good fantasy football player if I told you guys to sit Lamar Jackson. I am starting to feel that way. He is a top 3 fantasy quarterback of all time, ever. Some would say the best. Lamar has had back-to-back-to-back really poor showings, but I'm still going to start him because his ceiling is that stupid high. Derrick Henry, they give him touches, he gets touchdowns. He's got like 900 yards and 11 touchdowns, I think, on the year. You start him. Mark Andrews, hey, way to go, Mark Andrews, getting the bag. I did not expect that at all. $13 million a year on a 3-year deal for Mark Andrews, who I thought was kind of over the hump, in my opinion. Just kind of in the twilight of his career. Lamar Jackson loves him in the red zone. I know I don't like to start guys that are touchdown dependent, but Mark Andrews is basically automatic lock for a touchdown. So I like Mark Andrews as a start. Jaylen Warren's going to get the touches. I don't know if he does much with them, but you have to start him if he's in your flex spot because he's getting the touches. And DK Metcalf. Aaron Rodgers has not had the best year. He just hasn't. DK has had a pretty solid year. He's going to get the touchdowns if they get in the red zone. He's going to get, the red zone targets. And he's just had some really good film performances as well. So, like DK Metcalf as a start, he's the only wide receiver I would start. And then for the sits, Aaron Rodgers, I think this defense does get after him a little bit. Like you said, he does have cement for feet, so I'm staying away from him for now. He just hasn't really had that many great performances outside of that 1-4 touchdown week. Calvin Austin's been kind of underwhelming as well. He's a big boom or bust guy. He's been more bust this year than boom. Kenneth Gainwell, really happy that he's had a couple of really successful games. When he gets a lot of touches, he's really successful, but Jaylen Warren, that's his job right now. DeAndre Hopkins, he is number 2 right now in PFF rankings for wide receivers. Is that strange? That's a little strange to me. But DeAndre Hopkins, none of the wide receivers I feel like are really comfortable starts. Zay Flowers, maybe, but he's
not even on the graphic. It's not even on the graphic.
Mm-hmm.
He's not even sit, Zay Flowers.
Because he's a teeter-totter for me. I think Zay Flowers is like a fringe start guy. I don't feel uncomfortable starting him, and I don't feel comfortable starting him either. I think he's going to get you 8 to 10 points. Unless he gets a touchdown out of some weird way. But the touchdowns just go to Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and Mark Andrews. So he's like a 6 catch for 60 yards type. So don't like any other wide receivers for the Ravens right now. Zay Flowers, maybe a tiny bit. So let's keep it rocking and rolling. Everybody that's watching, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on Friday night. We're excited about SEC championship. Tomorrow, we're excited about all the conference championships. And then we get to talk about this AFC West matchup. The Raiders are terrible. The Broncos are good. Denver on the road, 7.5-point favorites. I think they win by 10 points. I'm going to take Denver here. Geno Smith is genuinely, if we're taking Minnesota quarterbacks out of it, Geno Smith is the worst quarterback in the NFL. Pretty easily for me. He's had a couple of games where he's been solid, but he's awful. I mean, he is just, I cannot express how bad his film has been thus far. The offensive line is terrible.
That's the thing. That's where I've got to intervene. Because
his offensive line is terrible, but whenever he gets pressured, he makes some of the worst throws I've ever seen in my life. I understand you get pressure, but he is one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen under pressure.
I'm not this big Geno Smith fan. I don't care. I'm indifferent to his career, but we've seen him lead the NFC in passing yards and offensive efficiency when he was in Seattle. So the talent has always been there. But this, especially the guards on the Raiders, is a turnstile. It's atrocious. Like, it's not even bad. And when you're older, right, like, your reaction time dips a little bit. I'm not going to put the entirety of the blame of him being this awful quarterback. I don't think he's getting help up front. It's affecting the running game, too. Like, Ashton Jeanty cannot get going. They don't throw the ball to Brock Bowers for some reason. I mean, I think that was a Chip Kelly thing, though, but they're starting to get him the football.
Yep.
In this game, though, I'm going to take Denver to cover the 7.5. I think that they are on a roll to secure that top spot in the AFC. It's theirs for the taking. The brass ring is right there. I think the Broncos, like I said, they're a missed field goal away from beating Indianapolis. And quite frankly, I think that they're the AFC's best team right now. They got a great defense. Surtain's back. They got great pass rush. They got decent quarterback play. They've got receivers that I like. I'm not big on RJ Harvey, but I'm going to take the Broncos to cover 7.5 in Las Vegas. No weather, no problem.
Yeah, me too. Pretty easily. And for the start sits, Bo Nix, he is a little gunslingery at times, but he does have the rushing upside. Not the best rushing upside in the NFL, but he has enough to where he can be dangerous. And, I mean, he's just being pretty smart with the football and getting the touchdowns. So I like him as a start, especially versus this really piss-poor Raiders defense. I sound like a big hater versus the Raiders, but it is just – I don't like watching Raiders games, man. It's really sad. RJ Harvey, he's the lead guy. Sean Payton said this week, they were saying, hey, is RJ Harvey, is this his backfield now that, who would have thought J.K. Dobbins got hurt? I told y'all he's never going to make a full season. It's just not what J.K. Dobbins does. And Sean Payton said, with R.J. Harvey, you guys have seen nothing. You're going to be surprised with R.J. Harvey. And, Sean Payton likes to make words like that in the media. But I like R.J. Harvey. I really loved his film at UCF last year. I mean, he was something special last year. He's a little bit older, but he's got the juice. He catches the ball out of the backfield. He is their backfield pass catcher, and he's going to get all of the touches. So I like R.J. Harvey because of the volume and the defense that he's playing against. It's not very good versus the run. Cortland Sutton, SMU great. I am really happy that he's having a good year. He had a great year last year. He's finally got a decent quarterback under center, and Sutton has been doing really good things, and I continue to expect he's going to be a solid wide receiver for us in fantasy, a wide receiver 2-3 for us on our rosters. Ashton Genty, he has not been efficient on the ground whatsoever. He has some of the best tape at Boise State I've ever seen. He was able to make nothing out of something all the time. NFL's different. Can't make nothing out of something. I mean, something out of nothing at the NFL level. The guys are just too good, too fast. Once they get a line figured out for Genty, he's going to be a monster. But still, with the inefficiencies on the ground, they get him the ball out of the backfield and make him relevant. And I want to say he had like 12 fantasy points last week, 13 fantasy points last week. No touchdowns. He had like 40 yards on the ground. He got it all through the air. So I like that. And Bowers is a must start at the tight end position. He gets a ton of targets. He's super talented as well, despite his quarterback being very bad statistically. Geno Smith leads the NFL in turnovers. Please stay away from him. The line's not going to protect him. He's going to get eaten alive by this pass rush because, in my opinion, I don't think they have the best pass rusher, but the amount of players that are on this line that are good, they have the best pass rush in the NFL, and they're going to annihilate Geno Smith this weekend. And because of that, Jack Besh is not going to do much. Dante Thornton is their deep threat. I have a pretty substantial bet. I know you know who Yab is. Yab said that Dante was going to get over 500 yards on the season, and we made a pretty substantial bet that wasn't going to happen. And right now it looks like I'm going to win that bet. So Marvin Mims is a deep shot guy that just hasn't really done much, unfortunately, this year. He's kind of gotten phased out of the offense in favor of Pat Bryant, who I loved out of Illinois. And Troy Franklin had just that one big game and then disappeared. So, yeah, not liking many of the receivers. I do like Pat Bryant as a spot start if you're in deep leagues, but Cortland Sutton's the main guy there right now.
I like Troy Franklin to start. As far as Dante Thornton, I would never say he would get 500 yards on the season, but I would say that
Yab's delusional.
I think there's something there. I just think there's something talented about a guy that big and that fast who played in the SEC and had success. I mean, you can say the same thing about Jalen Hyatt, but I think that, like you said, this might be a scheme issue here. I think that once the Raiders figure it out, if they ever figure it out, to get solid quarterback play, he can be like Marquez, Scantling and all that stuff,
Yeah.
like just stretch the field, and that sets everything up for Brock Bowers in the run game. So, and he'll have those games where he has, like 5 for 110 and 2 tutties because he can get down the field so fast.
He's like bad Christian Watson, in my opinion. I think Christian Watson was significantly more talented than Dante Thornton. He just has never been healthy, unfortunately. So, but yeah, Dante Thornton, I always thought of him as a developmental guy and not a guy that was ready. He just doesn't run routes. So, here we go. Look, we had a little bit of banter on this one over the past couple of days. Justin Paul is a big Packers guy. If I had to pick my favorite team in the NFC, I'm a Chiefs fan, but if I had to pick my favorite team in the NFC, it would be the Chicago Bears because I'm a big Caleb Williams guy. I think the Bears are going to cover this. I don't know who wins. I think the Packers might win this game, but I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people expect. I know you picked it's kind of like a bit at this point where every time there's a Bear logo, you always go for the other team. And it's worked out for you some. It hasn't worked out for you on others. I think the Packers win this game, but I think it's going to be by a field goal. I like the Bears to cover here. And we're going to see what Caleb Williams does against this pressure. This is going to be a big game to prove who Caleb Williams is.
Well, the Bears got their big win last week against the Eagles on Black Friday, and it was pretty decisive. I mean, the Bears took care of business. There was no fluke about it, and it was a big win for them to prove that they could beat a team with a winning record, do it on the road in an outdoor environment. But then I start to see a couple things that with this team that, first of all, when your coach is just ripping off his shirt after the game because he's emotional and stuff like that, like, can you see elite coaches do stuff like that? I think that there's a college mentality with the Bears, and I think that they're rah-rahing it right now, but let's be real about a few things here. They're missing their starting 3 linebackers again this week.
Yeah.
I think that this is a game where Josh Jacobs and the Packers do what they do best, and that's just run the ball and keep the Bears offense and keep Ben Johnson off the field. Rome Odunze is out for this game. So it's going to be the Luther Burden show and the DJ Moore. And, the Bears have been running the ball very well. Last week they had 200-yard rushes with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. But I do think that this game in Lambeau, this is a huge, huge, huge matchup. This should be the Sunday night game. Even though the game in 2 weeks, the rematch is on Sunday night in Chicago, this one right here should be the prime time, in my opinion.
I agree.
It's the best game on the schedule this week.
Because as of right now, the Bears are the 1 seed in the NFC. I know that's crazy to say, but the Packers are, loaded talent-wise on both offense and defense. And the Bears' defense has played ridiculously well, forcing turnovers over and over and over again.
That was going to be the key to the matchup for me. So the Bears have been extremely opportunistic, leading the league in takeaways.
Yep.
However, Jordan Love is extremely careful with the football.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Bears are going to get the opportunity to get these kind of turnovers. And I think the game comes down to Caleb Williams is going to try and gunsling it, and I think he's going to throw a pick 6. I just feel like it's going to be like the Bears have more pressure on them to win this game than the Packers do. They really do. They put themselves in this position. Now you got to prove it. You proved it last week. And now you're starting to get the fans to believe it. And you should. Bears fans should be excited for this team. They've had such a lousy team for the past 20 years. Mm-hmm. Good for their fans and good for that. But I do think the Packers cover at home. There's no crazy weather projections. I just think that Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary are going to get there. But Devontae Wyatt being out is the big question mark. So I have a better feel for this game, when they have the rematch in 2 weeks, because he's a huge loss for the Packers up front.
Yeah.
Nazir Stackhouse and Will Brinson are going to have to fill that void. And we're going to see if those fat boys can get in there and get it done. I would make Caleb Williams beat you with his arm. I know you're high on his play with his arm and making these elite throws. I'd make him do it in the cold weather. I wouldn't let him run the ball. They ran for 200, almost 300 yards last week. I'm not allowing that. Green Bay's not going to allow that. You're not going to do it back-to-back weeks in this league.
That's what they're built on, right? When Ben Johnson was in Detroit, he wanted to run the ball with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. He's not making that a secret. They're going to try. I know he said we're going to make Caleb Williams throw for all these yards is what Ben Johnson said. I want you to think that if I'm the Bears too. And when in reality, we're probably going to have 25 to 30 rush attempts for the Bears. And I do like what Kyle Monangai does. I'm going to run it at the throw to your defense, the D tackles, because I think that's the weakness right now. And Caleb Williams work off play action. That's the way the offense works. And I don't think they're going to change that. Caleb Williams just has to hit the throws when he needs to. And when he's down in the fourth quarter, I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL. But during the middle, first, second, and third quarters, man, he just misses some throws, whether it's on him or the wide receiver. He's going to have to clean that up, and because he's got, I think, a 56% completion percentage, and that's just not good enough.
Xavier McKinney, I'm calling it now. That's who does it. Pick six right here. That's going to be your guy.
So I'll talk about a guy on the red side of the graphic in a second, but I do like Caleb Williams as a start. I don't know. I started Jared Goff over him, so that's where I'm at right now. I'd rather get my 18 points from Jared Goff because Caleb Williams could easily go out there and give you 10. Jared Goff was the safer option, and I didn't want to lose this week. So Caleb Williams, I do think is a start because he can give you a 30-point game pretty easily. DeAndre Swift, he didn't get as many carries as Kyle Monangai, but that's because it was basically a blowout win in the fourth quarter, and they gave it to Monangai instead. I do think Swift is the lead back, so I'm going to keep Swift on my starting lineup right now. Luther Burden, I think his projection is only 7-8 points. He is superbly talented, and I think they're going to get him the ball a lot more than people expect this week. So if you have him as a flex play, I think you're doing pretty good. Jordan Love. So here's something interesting about Jordan Love. Over the past 2 years of him starting, hasn't really been a guy that protects the football a lot. He's a little bit of a gunslinger. This year, completely different. He's played very, very conservatively this year. Not to a fault, but he's protected the football a lot more. Kind of like how Justin Herbert was last year. Interesting to see how – I want to see what he does.
Love's got 19 touchdowns and 3 picks.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of abnormal for him because he's normally a 10-interception guy, 10, 12 interception guy on the year. He's been playing really smart. I need to see him continue to do that because this defense for the Chicago Bears is going to make you think throws are there and they're going to jump it. That's just what they do. So Love's going to have to trust his conservativeness and keep that conservativeness going or he's going to throw a pick. So we need to hope and pray he continues to do that. And Josh Jacobs, man, he is not talked about enough. I don't want to glaze the Packers too much here, but Josh Jacobs, you can give him 300 touches every single year. He's going to not be banged up very often, and he's going to be consistent. He's not super athletically gifted. He's got great footwork, and he drives forward, and he does not get tired. He's my definition of like the perfect type of running back. If he was a little bit shorter and harder to tackle, I'd like that. But Josh Jacobs is a dog. He's going to get the volume. And I love the run concepts that the Packers run. So like Josh Jacobs as a start. Then for the sits, DJ Moore, I do not trust. Luther Burden and DJ Moore are basically the same player stylistically, and I think Luther Burden has started to take that reign over from DJ Moore. I don't know what they do with DJ Moore after this year, because he's not. Yeah.
You always dog me about how I talk about the Bears, but I've been preaching on Luther Burden since before the season.
He's very talented. He just had a little bit of a hothead at Missouri.
And I wanted the Packers to draft him instead of Matthew Golden.
I think he would. See, the problem is Luther Burden is very similar to Jaden Reed. Now, it would have worked out because Jaden Reed got hurt and has been out for a significant portion of the season, so you'd have that guy, that gadget guy. But, yeah, Burden as a slot guy.
He might play this week, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I love watching him play, man. So, DJ Moore, I don't know what his role for the team is once Luther Burden starts getting in there. And Cole Kmet, I mean, he had a decent game last week. Stay away from him. He just doesn't get the snap percentage. Dontavian Wicks had a big breakout performance last week, over 100 yards. touchdown, or a couple of touchdowns, I believe. He had a really big game. He's like kind of like Dollar General T. Higgins to me, kind of like a possession type of guy. Really reliable hands, but with these Packers receivers, you just do not know who they're going to throw to. You just don't. Dontavian Wicks could have 3 points in this game, and I would not be surprised. Romeo Doubs could have like 4 or 5 points. I would not be surprised. One of these guys is going to blow up and be the guy, but you have to guess, and we just don't know who it's going to be. And weirdly enough, the guy that I wanted to talk about on this graphic, the guy that y'all were running that offense through the air, was Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft was the heartbeat of y'all's passing offense, and he was great. Tucker Kraft got picked after Luke Musgrave in the same draft. They are both very similar athletes, but for whatever reason, when Luke Musgrave's trying to do the same stuff Tucker Kraft does, he's not successful. It's just really strange to me because they're very similar players. I think Tucker Kraft's way better in the run game. But why is Luke Musgrave, do you think, just not being involved in this offense?
Well, first of all, he's missed a lot of time with injury. That's why I think Tucker Kraft ended up getting the starting position anyway.
Yeah.
Luke Musgrave is the better athlete of the two. He's taller. He's more of a wideout than he is a pass-blocking tight end. But I think it's going to ramp up towards the end of the season. He's just got to get the reps. It's really all it is. It really has been injury central for Luke Musgrave, and with Tucker Kraft being now, he's got to prove his second-round pick worthiness. He was picked in the second. Tucker Kraft was picked in the fourth round. I mean, and like you said, Kraft was a safety net, but I think Jordan Love's got to just get the chemistry with him.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a good point to say that you think the Bears are going to do some disguising and, get some plays on Love. But I think that it's really not being a homer. I just see Jordan Love way more protective of the football than some of these other quarterbacks.
Yeah. Which is a good change for him, man, because he was really just throwing it. He was just throwing it into these crazy windows, trying to kind of like Baker Mayfield in a way. And this year he's been way less just forcing it into windows like he has in years past. So.
And Josh Jacobs was limping off the field on Thanksgiving after the Detroit game, so we're going to see probably some split carries. I don't know if he's going to get 25 carries this game.
And Emmanuel Wilson's a stud, man. I like him a lot.
This is a team that a certain 49ers fan likes to talk about his team that says, it's all Kyle Shanahan, but this is a scheme team here.
Yeah,
this is a team that can use their non-superstars because they don't have 75,000 all-pros like the 49ers do to cover up the inefficiencies. Like, here you got to get it done. And they can get it done in the running game, and they can get it done, with, like you said, multiple receiver looks that you just don't know what the game plan is going to go for. It's a detriment for fantasy, but it's great for trying to win football games in the National Football League to not be able to know what's going on.
So I'll give you my thought process sitting DJ Moore while Rome's out. I don't know if DJ Moore's the wide receiver 2 on this team, right? I don't think he's the next guy up. I think it's Colston Loveland, and I think it's Luther Burden. DJ Moore and Luther Burden are very similar players, and in terms of how the play concepts have been called, DJ Moore hasn't been the guy that's getting his name called. It's been Luther Burden, and I think Luther Burden's going to be the slot guy a lot, and I think DJ Moore's going to be the sacrificial X for this team in this game since Rome is out, and I don't think that's DJ Moore's strong suit whatsoever. So I like Luther Burden as a PPR scam artist type, and I like Colson Loveland over the middle of the field, and I think DJ Moore's just going to be hoping to get a deep shot. So, and I don't think that's his strong suit. So let's go ahead and get into the next game. Rams and the Cardinals. Cardinals might be the best team with a bad record in the NFL, in my opinion. They've just continuously lost these games, unfortunately, and I think their offense is playing really good. But an offense that has been playing really good is the Los Angeles Rams. They have been cooking on offense. Needless to say, I think the Cardinals are going to keep this game close. I'm going to go with the Cardinals +8 here. Do think they lose again, unfortunately, but I think the Rams won't beat them up too bad here. I think they lose by a touchdown.
I think the Rams kick their ass. They asked Coach Gannon today. They said, why do you feel about Kyler? Because they put him on IR the rest of the year, and all he could say was, "We're worried about the Rams." And quite frankly, I think that they're going to trade Kyler Murray in the offseason. Somebody's going to take that contract. Somebody's going to take him on, New Orleans Saints, and they're going to do something. Well, I don't know if the Saints can afford him, but maybe the Minnesota Vikings could be a trade partner here.
I don't want that for Justin Jefferson. Kyler Murray just is a death
I'm just saying,
fantasy
it's better than what they got now. It's better than what they got now.
I guess.
So, but nonetheless, I think the Rams. I think Stafford's on pace to win MVP. He's already got 32 touchdowns. He's just
3 picks. It's crazy.
I don't think that the Cardinals have enough gas in the tank to keep up with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford.
I have so much injuries too. Walter Nolan, MHJ, ton of guys.
It's the Cardinals would have to play ball control football, and you got Zonovan Knight, you got Bam Knight out there running the football. You're on your backup quarterback. Marvin Harrison's out. Come on, man. I'm gonna lay the 8 points here. I think that the Rams handle this pretty belt to ass wise. Unfortunately. I think you're going to see a lot of Rams fans here. The drive to LA to Phoenix ain't 6 hours, tops 5 hours. So they come out here for these games all the time, just like Raiders fans come down here when the Raiders play and the Chargers and this and that. So the Rams to cover nicely and try to reassess, who they are and reestablish they're looking to get the top seed in the NFC as well. Even though the Bears have all the tiebreakers over them. That's what's crazy. The Bears have all the tiebreakers over the Rams due to some percentages and all that nonsense.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and talk about Matthew Stafford here. My pick for MVP this year. And it's not just because of him. I think he's been playing really good football, but Sean McVay is my pick for Coach of the Year. What he's done with this offense for the Rams, yes, he's got a ton of talent, but the play calls, man, especially with Devontae Adams on the goal line, is basically unstoppable, where he can run a fade or he can run a slant. It's basically an option route, which, guess what, guys? Devontae Adams is one of the best, instant separators ever. Release packages, he's probably the best release off the line wide receiver of all time. And McVay was like, how do I use that? Oh, we're just going to use him on the goal line. Run a fade or run a slant, whatever you want to do. And it's basically unguardable unless you put two people on it.
Right.
So I like Matthew Stafford. I think he's going to get multiple touchdowns. I like Kyron Williams as well because he gets the volume. I know Blake Corum was a little bit annoying last week for Kyron Williams owners. Kyron Williams is the lead back here until he gets hurt. And then Puka Nacua, I know he's kind of slowed down a little bit over the past few weeks. I still think he's going to get a ton of targets. He's going to be cooking. And what do you think the Cardinals do with Jacoby Brissett? He has played so incredibly well over the past 4 or 5 weeks here. From a fantasy perspective, who would have thought Jacoby Brissett? I think his lowest game's 21 points. It broke the record for completions in a game. 47 completions in a game is wild. I know the defense hasn't been doing him a lot of favors.
He did it against
the 49ers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Jacoby Brissett, man, has just been cooking all year. What do you do with him? Do you sign him? I think he's on only a 1-year deal. That sounds right for Jacoby Brissett. But it's he's played great. And maybe you want to sign a quarterback in the draft and let him sit behind Jacoby Brissett. He's the perfect quarterback for that. You saw what he did with Drake May. So I think that's what the Cardinals need to do. I think quarterback-wise, trade Kyler Murray, get a couple of picks, whatever, and grab one of these developmental guys. I don't like Nussmeier, but somebody around that tier, see if you can develop them and have Jacoby Brissett be the guy next year, at least for the majority of the season. I like that idea for the Cardinals because Jacoby Brissett's been playing lights out, man.
Well, I think that if you're going to draft a quarterback, right, you have to have a plan if you're Arizona. If you're going to say, Kyler, we're moving on for Kyler Murray, you better have a plan for your first-round pick to be a quarterback. It's set stone because Jacoby Brissett is a league hopper for a reason.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily think that he's a starting quarterback this late in his career, in spite of what's been going on this season. Mind you, to be fair, Kyler, Trey Benson's been hurt, James Conner got hurt, Marvin Harrison's got hurt. Everybody on this team gets hurt.
He's still doing it. He's making Michael Wilson look amazing.
but I think the other thing is the Arizona Cardinals are not winning football games.
Yeah.
I think the Cardinals have to really think about what they're going to do here because they've got talent. They've got Mac Wilson and, Deontay Thompson, and they can use another corner. I mean, they got Walter Nolan. He's out. Like, they're close. Yeah. They're like, I'm trying to think. They're like the Browns, right? They've got this talented roster. They just got to get it right. And I think somebody's going to come take Kyler. Maybe the Jets come take him. Maybe the Vikings come take him.
I think they're going to do that again. A quarterback that runs that just doesn't really know how to pass the ball all that well. I mean, he's better than Justin Fields, but you think the Jets roll the dice on a guy like that again? That would be the most Jets thing to do, though.
The Steelers might use him. You just don't know.
The Steelers.
Like there could be a team out there looking for a quarterback saying, hey, we kind of want to move on here. And in a quarterback-hungry league, somebody's going to take a shot on him. Somebody's going to do it. And the Cardinals will get, I think, a healthy supply of picks. And,
yeah, I agree.
But they have to have a plan because Jacoby Brissett ain't it long-term. If I'm the Cardinals, I get Mac Jones. Just saying. We see what he does. We see what he does in Jacksonville.
Jacoby Brissett's played better, though. He's played better than Mac Jones throughout his starts this year.
He's also younger. Mac's a lot younger. Like Jacoby Brissett's in his 30s. This isn't a long-term solution. So
yeah, for sure.
We'll see.
So, do you know how many touchdowns Trey McBride has this year?
I'm gonna say 10.
He has 8, which is insane considering this is his 4th year. Up until this season, he had 6 total touchdowns. Up until this season, he has 8 on the season. Pretty much all of them have came from Jacoby Brissett. Trey McBride is like 3rd in the NFL in receiving yards. He's 1st in the NFL in receptions, and he's got 8 touchdowns. He is an absolute monster for fantasy football purposes right now. He's going to continue. I think his lowest game's like 14, 15 points in PPR leagues, which is nuts. For the sits, Blake Corum, he's starting to get more and more touches. Fun fact, I don't know how many of the same running back the Rams are going to take. Kyron Williams and Blake Corum are the same exact running back. Jarquez Hunter is very similar to these guys. I just don't know how many of the same guy that they're going to draft. It's very interesting. They just have a surplus of the same model robot. It's really funny. But he's not going to get enough touches until Kyron goes down. And then Rams tight end, whether that be Terrence Ferguson, Tyler Higbee, whoever that is, do not start any of them. Stay away. Bam Knight, he's probably going to get the majority of the touches because Trey Benson's not playing. Imari DiMercado has also been ruled out. So Bam Knight's like their only guy right now. Greg Dortch might get in the backfield and take a couple of catches.
He's out
as well. Greg Dortch is out too? What? Well, geez Louise. Michael Wilson, with all that's being said, might be a start here, but that was before Marvin Harrison. I would start Michael Wilson probably, but no one else in this offense would try it besides Trey McBride and Brissett. Brissett is a sneaky start right now. I'd start him over a lot of quarterbacks. I'd start him over Trevor Lawrence. I'd start him over guys like that. I mean, in an instant. I would start him over Jordan Love. That's how much Jacoby Brissett hasn't had a game under 20 fantasy points this year. So I'm sticking with it. So like Jacoby Brissett, but Michael Wilson's probably a start there. All right, let's keep it moving.
Sunday night special.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. I think the playoff hopes for my Kansas City Chiefs are over with the loss to the Dallas Cowboys. But the Texans, this is not a game where the Chiefs want their O-line to be beat up because Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter are both absolute monsters. And as good as Patrick Mahomes is under pressure, it's going to be really tough. Both of our tackles are questionable.
Players on Houston's defense. So Christian Harris, Henry To'oTo'o, Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie. You just can't go wrong with that defense, man.
Their offense just sucks. Despite all of that, the Chiefs are in Arrowhead. I think this is a must-win for them. I think they're out anyways, but they're going to try and claw their way back. I don't think the Texans have what it takes. I'm going to go with Kansas City minus 3.5 here because their offense is that bad. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs defense is really going to beat them up. So I like Kansas City minus 3.5 because I like the offense and the defense better.
I like it as well. I think the Chiefs cover the spread here at home. It's going to be a close game, but I think that there's a late pull away to keep the cover here on Cover 2 Cash. I think that, it comes down to a late turnover or something by the Texans making a drive late in the game.
Absolutely.
Really, really close football game. But Kansas City at Arrowhead is really a tough ask. Unless your name's Joe Burrow, you're not really doing a lot of success there.
Yeah.
I don't think that Houston – it would be a humongous win for the Texans to do this and establish something. Remember, a few years ago in the playoffs, Bill O'Brien had him up 24-0 in Arrowhead before that epic collapse.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien is a pariah to Alabama fans for his misuse of – Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding at Alabama should be hung. I mean that figuratively, not don't kill them, but – for their misuse of players, for his misuse of Bryce Young and Jahmyr Gibbs, and for Pete Golding's misuse of Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. Dropping Will Anderson in coverage, what do you do? Anyway, he's an Ole Miss problem now. So nonetheless.
Yeah.
I think that Kansas City is going to take this game. Their season isn't on life support. I think you're going to see a pissed-off Chiefs team. I mean, Mahomes threw four touchdowns on Thanksgiving against Dallas.
The defense just couldn't get it figured out.
So I think that he's going to be I think that this is a game where the Chiefs still kind of remind you that they went to the Super Bowl, but we're going to see if they can finish off down the stretch making the playoffs or not. Kind of a big ask, but we'll see.
Yeah, so Patrick Mahomes must start. He's QB2 on the season. Very simple. I like the defense for the Texans, but Patrick Mahomes gets it done versus anybody. Just plain and simple. Rashee Rice, he's been getting pretty much all the targets. He is the main guy in this offense. I'm glad that we grabbed him in the second round at SMU. Travis Kelce's been turning it on as well here as of late. He's getting the targets. He's getting the red zone targets as well. Like that as a start. Nico Collins, despite this offense being really bad, Nico Collins is still, I want to say, the wide receiver 13 or something like that, 11. I told you guys not to draft him as the wide receiver 4 or 5, wherever he was going in fantasy drafts. That was insane. But Nico Collins is still a solid wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2. And then Woody Marks. I think Nick Chubb only had 4 or 5 carries last week. Woody Marks had all of the carries. And he's their pass game guy. He's going to get the volume. I don't know if he does anything with it, but you start guys with volume, and the Woody Marks is going to have that. CJ Stroud's going to have a terrible day versus this Kansas City defense. The offensive line is terrible, and our pass rush with George Karlaftis and Chris Jones hasn't really done a lot this year, but I think we're going to get to CJ Stroud, and we're going to make him make some mistakes. And then Nick Chubb just hasn't been getting the volume. He's kind of in the twilight of his career, unfortunately. Loved him at Georgia, loved him with Cleveland, but unfortunately, as of late, he just hasn't really done that much after just a devastating injury. Love the guy as a person as well. But
I will say on him, I think next year he'll have a better season. I don't think
so.
He's watched. Genuinely. Because he's coming off really nasty injuries. His injuries aren't
his leg was literally gone.
I mean, he
blew his knee completely apart.
He's medically cleared to play this year, but I think next year he can absolutely split the backfield with Joe Mixon and be a devastating force for the Houston Texans.
I don't know if Joe Mixon ever plays another game for the Texans. That's a really weird situation that's going on there.
We'll see.
But Hollywood Brown's been making a few mistakes. He gets a deep shot here and there. Staying away from Hollywood Brown, though. And with Pacheco coming back, we got Damian Pierce, ironically, from the Texans. They cut him, which was super surprising. Really like Pierce. He might be somebody to look at for the Chiefs. Once he learns the playbook and gets the practices in, he might be our lead back, in all honesty. But Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco are probably going to split carries here, so I'm staying away from both of them. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into our last matchup for Monday night. see. Philadelphia Eagles, with their atrocious offense, they're going on the road to play the Los Angeles Chargers, who may be starting Trey Lance. It's not official just yet, but Justin Herbert just had surgery on his hand. We'll see if he ends up starting. Uh-oh, 1 second. What's going on, Juan? Nice for you to hop in the chat for us. Who for my wide receiver 2, 3, and flex spot? Devontae Adams, absolutely at wide receiver 1. Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs, what a ridiculous running back tandem. Then you have, obviously, Trayvon's on bye. Charbonnet, Addison, Myers, Debo. I think we're going Debo there. We're, at this point, probably starting Ertz over Juwan Johnson. I think you go Myers and Debo. I don't like Quentin Johnston, though, versus this Eagles defense because they're just really good against the pass. So I'd probably go Debo, Jacoby, and then for your flex spot, Ertz would be your tight end. Probably go for... Oh, okay, 1 sec. You can go... Should I pick up Butte, Singletary, Mason, Vele? There's a lot of people in the league.
Butte? That's the guy you pick up. Like, I don't even need to read the rest of the line. It's Butte.
Adonai Mitchell's cooking, though. Yeah, I'd probably go Butte over Mitchell. I would probably drop...
Juan, you need to get up all in that Butte and pick up that Butte and make sure that you
Who
play
does he drop, though? That's the problem. I mean, his worst... I guess Juwan Johnson's the guy he would drop. For Butte?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that makes sense. I would probably drop drop Juwan Johnson for Butte or Mitchell. Whichever one you feel better about. I think Butte... He's on bye, though. Butte's on bye. Adonai Mitchell would be the play this week for me. I would start Adonai Mitchell over guys like Quentin Johnston, which is insane. He's losing out a lot of snap percentages, which I'll talk about here lately. But yeah, I would probably go Debo, Jacoby, and pick up AD Mitchell, drop Juwan Johnson. But
thanks, Juan.
Yep, thank you, my friend, for hopping in the chat. Much love. But in this game, I think the Chargers win this game. I know Herbert might not play. I think Omarion Hampton's not going to play as well, but Kamani Vidal's been great. I think the Eagles, they've proven to do this a lot. Obviously, last year they won the Super Bowl, but they've been a team where once they start losing, man, they just crash hard. And I think the Chargers win this game. I'm going to go with the Chargers plus 3.5 here. I do like their defense, but their offense has genuinely been one of the worst in the NFL over the past 5 weeks.
This is the game where Saquon Barkley busts a nut. I think he's going to...
I hope so. Jeez, it's about time.
He's going to do it. The Chargers are terrible. Terrible against the run. They're 25th against the run. And plus, every time that the Chargers are a home underdog, it seems to be proven right. I think that they're 2-8 in their last 10 as home dogs. I'm going to take the Eagles to cover here. I think that this is a big, big rushing game for Saquon. I'm telling you, I think this could be 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Going big on this one.
I hope so, man, because I'm starting him I'm starting him in a few games.
I think this is a game where
I need him.
I think that there's a little bit of turmoil. Like, it's clearly obvious there's turmoil going on in the Philadelphia locker room, but I think this might be a game where Jalen Hurts kind of just says to everybody, kiss my ass. And we're going to run what I want to run.
He's played pretty good this year, honestly.
It's going to be – I think it's going to be – everybody's going to be on par. This is a game where everything goes right. I think they're a little irritated with losing to Chicago. They got the extra day rest. They do have to go across the country. Actually, they got, the same amount of rest as a Thursday night game because they played on Black Friday, and this is the Monday night special.
Yeah.
Give me the Eagles to win by a touchdown here. I think Philadelphia wins by a touchdown. Even, and if the Chargers start Trey Lance, I think that's going to be a nightmare matchup for the Chargers because the Philadelphia Eagles defense can get in that ass. They can absolutely get after an inexperienced quarterback and make Trey Lance run for his life.
Yeah, and that's what he's going to have to do. But Jalen Hurts must start with the rushing touchdown upside. He hasn't really turned the ball over. I think he's like 17 touchdowns, 2 picks, something like that. Been playing pretty good ball all year long. He's just been a little conservative to a fault at times because they can't get the running game going. Saquon, this is your last chance, buddy. I mean, I really think so. I mean, he's put up single-digit performances, I think 3 weeks in a row now. He's going to have to blow up in this game. Give me 15 minimum, or he's not a guy that you can start adequately in the playoff. I mean, you just can't start him anymore. You're starting like Kamani Vidal over Barkley in the playoffs if he struggles in this matchup. A.J. Brown has turned it on, thank goodness. I really liked his talent. Not the diva antics that he's got going on, but they've seemed to get a connection going with him. So I like that. And then it looks like Amari Hampton's not going to play, but if he did play, I would absolutely be starting him. Lad McConkey's a guy that I'm going to be starting as well. He's been a very safe floor option for us. Send Kamani Vidal over to the start side, honestly, if Amari Hampton doesn't end up playing. Doesn't look like he's going to. But like Kamani Vidal as a start, he's been playing great football. And then for the sits, Trey Lance, we just don't know what he's going to look like. We have no idea. He looked good in the preseason. He really did. But that's the preseason. We need to see what in your first starts versus one of the best defenses in the NFL. No. Leave me alone. I'm not starting him. Keenan Allen's really slowed down, unfortunately, over the past 3-4 weeks now. They just haven't really been passing the ball as well because Herbert's been a little banged up, and they've been running the ball through Vidal. So Keenan is not a start for me anymore unless you want to get 7-8 points out of him. Goddard, he's been underwhelming. He was really cooking the first half of the season. He's kind of slowed down here recently. And poor Jahan Dotson. You know, if it's an Eagles start sit, he's got to be here because I don't have too many more names in this offense. Devonta Smith is worth starting, but he's not a guy I feel great about right now because it's either an A.J. Brown game or a Devonta Smith game. That's it, my friends.
What a show. We got 24 viewers. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us on this late night Friday night edition of Cover 2 Cash. Bobby, you got anything you want to promote?
No, not right now. We're working on a couple film breakdowns, starting to get my opinions on the 2026 class. There's a lot of guys. There's a certain kid from USC that I love a ton. Maybe do some film breakdowns on him relatively soon. My hiatus it'll be gone here shortly. So
Bobby is the king of NFL film breakdown, the king of scouting. He absolutely loves it. He lives for it. I am your gambling host with the most. Folks, I apologize if you tailed me on the North Texas Tulane game. Tulane is up 31-7 going into the fourth quarter. But I think that has to do with, North Texas's coach leaving.
Yeah.
But I thought that they would still have enough firepower to get through this game. And it's kind of unfortunate with the whole carousel in college football, like the whole Lane Kiffin debacle and all these coaches that are trying, it's really bad for the players too. Yep. And a part of me is like, I don't feel bad for the players because they're getting paid, but there's another part where you're trying to play football and, Ole Miss is a playoff.
You're there team for the coach, and they just want to chase the money.
Too. Right? This isn't like he's leaving UCLA or something like that, or they're, Kansas State. Some things about like Kansas State, they opted out of their bowl game. The team voted to not go to their bowl game. So a 5-7 team, the next highest one up on the list, I think, is Rice that qualifies for some kind of percentages to go to a bowl game. It's really? Rice, then Auburn, then Mississippi State, but please don't put Auburn in a bowl game. God. No, just don't do that to the American people. All right, we've got enough going on these days with a lot of other things going on as we see in the world. So let's just not put Auburn football in people's eyes. We've had enough Auburn for the year. They'll have their chance next year with their great Ruski head coach. But the college football landscape, like I said, it's been kind of a disaster. Yep. But we do have, some premier matchups for tomorrow for conference championships. And then I'm looking forward to, I think the final rankings come out Sunday night. Since the season's over, they don't wait till Tuesday anymore. And the committee's just got to get it squared away with who they're going to put in. You can't punish a team, I think, in the top 9 for losing a conference championship game. They want to say Alabama, if they lose, should be out. But Alabama is the 1 seed in the SEC. They're the 1 seed. They beat Georgia, so they've got the tiebreaker. They'll be wearing the red jersey, crimson jerseys on Saturday. Even if they lose, I don't care who hoots and hollers about it. You don't punish them because you didn't punish SMU. You set the precedent last year. You have to maintain that. Otherwise, you'll see an uproar. I guarantee it. It's not like they're on the fringe, like this is a team. They want to throw that Florida State loss in Alabama's face, but some of these other teams have, like Texas should not even be talking about playoffs. They've lost 3 games. I said they would lose 3 games. I said they could lose up to 4, and it's like I've been watching this game for a long time. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. I'm going to toot my own horn about my college football takes, but tonight I had a bad one with North Texas. I really liked them, but
I like North Texas too. I mean, Tulane just can come out and whoop some ass every now and then, man. So I was
surprised.
I
think that they're the G5 team that makes the playoff.
Tulane, huh?
Well, James Madison isn't ranked higher than them.
Yep.
And Tulane's playing a ranked opponent. I mean, the Sun Belt Conference was coming down to Troy, who's unranked, and you're not going to see the winner of the MAC get in there.
Nope.
So the Sun Belt's out, the MAC's out. The American, I think, is the one that's in. I don't think that the ACC winner – I don't think that if Duke wins, you really – man, oh, man, that's just craziness. But I think the ACC winner does – I don't know how it fully works. That's kind of a problem. They need to fix that, but I just don't know if they automatically qualify for it. They've got to go. I really want to stress college football needs a 16-team playoff, and that's it. 16. Because then you can have your G5 teams qualify here and there and still be part of the championship process, but have elite teams get in there. So that way teams on the cusp like Miami and Notre Dame, and BYU have a little more wiggle room and just get rid of eliminate some of the bowl games. Even though I'm a big fan of the bowl games, I am a big fan of those non-important bowl games. Like I'll watch the Military Bowl. I'll watch all of it. Of course, I'm a junkie for the sport.
Absolutely.
But they got a 16-team tournament, and the first round is hosted all on campus. Let the campus get that revenue, make it earn it, And then when you get to the final, 8, then you start doing your neutral site games and keep everybody. They're trying to do a mix of keeping the traditions of college football alive, along with trying to implement this new era that we're in with these super conferences and things along that sort. And there's ways around it. I think there's ways around it. They've got to stop early signing day. Cannot be during the college football playoffs. Like it cannot be.
It's a little crazy to me.
And you got to let coaches, they have to. What they should do is they should bump the calendar up. Start college football 2 weeks earlier in August. People are going to watch it. They're going to watch it in August. Yep. They're starving for football by then. If you start the season earlier, you can wrap the season up 1 week after New Year's Day. Everybody's happy. They can go watch the NFL playoffs in peace. And then the semesters end. And then the coaches can say, all right, we've coached our team through the playoff. Now we can I think you do the season, then you do a 30-day transfer portal. And then after that 30-day transfer portal, that's signing day. And then because that's what it used to be. Signing day used to be around the Super Bowl in February.
Yep.
It used to not be in December. And commits don't mean what they used to. Like there was a guy who committed to Alabama, then he flips to Auburn, then he gets in trouble at Auburn, and now he's on the bench at Auburn, and now he's like you're a freshman and you're going on team number 3.
Yep.
It's still, there's a lot of changes that could be made. Like if you're getting paid money, you need to sign contracts. I don't want to hear this amateurism. The state of Ohio said that high school players can get NIL money now in high school, which I got a problem with because they're minors. Like you're at that point, you're not, I think high school football has to not be touched by money because that's like something's got to be sacred. I believe in capitalism in the United States and all this stuff, but at the same time, you're going to start building super teams, and then kids that don't get an opportunity to play college football, they're going to be disinterested. You have to be able to play college or high school football kind of. I know they do a little bit of it now, But like, you can't ruin. I think that would ruin high school football to NIL it to death. That's crazy to me. It's crazy because you're going to have people start transferring schools, and it's a bad idea. I wouldn't. I think that there's got to be some purity to sports, So, with that being said, Bobby, do you have anything else that you would like to promote?
No, I think we're good, my friend. We had another great show, and I'm excited for next week.
All right, let's close it out. Roll Tide. Enjoy the games tomorrow, and we'll see you next week.